A chilling case out of Georgia is sending shockwaves across the nation after authorities revealed disturbing allegations against a mother accused of killing her infant sons years apart, and showing what prosecutors describe as no remorse. The case, now unfolding in court, has reopened old wounds, raised devastating questions, and left an entire community struggling to understand how such a tragedy could happen not once, but twice. According to investigators, the deaths of the two infants were initially treated as unrelated tragedies separated by years. At the time of each incident, there were no immediate red flags that suggested criminal wrongdoing. Friends and family mourned, authorities closed the cases, and life, at least on the surface, moved on. But beneath that calm exterior, prosecutors now allege, lay a horrifying truth that would only come to light after a renewed investigation exposed a disturbing pattern. Officials say the first infant died under circumstances that were ultimately deemed unexplained. The mother, described at the time as grieving and devastated, received sympathy from those around her. Law enforcement reports indicate that medical examiners did not initially classify the death as a homicide, allowing the case to fade quietly into the background. Years later, when the woman gave birth again, no one could have imagined history was about to repeat itself. Then came the second death. Authorities allege that the second infant's death triggered new scrutiny, and that scrutiny would unravel everything. Medical professionals reportedly noticed similarities between the two cases that could no longer be ignored. Investigators reopened the earlier file, re-examined evidence, and conducted interviews that would eventually lead to shocking conclusions. Prosecutors now claim the deaths were not tragic accidents, but intentional acts carried out years apart by the same person, the children's mother. What has stunned investigators and the public alike is not only the nature of the allegations, but the demeanor prosecutors describe when confronting the accused. Court documents and law enforcement statements allege that the woman displayed a disturbing lack of emotion when questioned about her children's deaths, behavior that prosecutors say sharply contrasts with that of a grieving parent. This is one of the most heartbreaking cases we've encountered, a law enforcement official involved in the investigation reportedly said. Two innocent lives lost, years apart, and a pattern that should never have existed. The case has sparked intense debate over how the first death was handled, and whether earlier intervention could have prevented the second tragedy. Critics argue that warning signs may have been overlooked, while others caution against hindsight bias in cases involving infant deaths, which are often medically complex and emotionally charged. Legal experts say cases like this are among the most difficult to detect and prosecute. Infant deaths can stem from natural causes, medical complications, or sudden unexplained factors. Without clear evidence of trauma or foul play, authorities often have limited grounds to pursue criminal charges. It is only when patterns emerge, as prosecutors now allege happened here, that investigators can piece together a larger narrative. As details emerged, the community where the family lived was left reeling. Neighbors described the mother as quiet and unassuming, someone who never attracted attention or suspicion. Others recalled moments that now seem unsettling in hindsight, comments or behaviors that felt off, but never alarming enough to raise concerns at the time. "I can't wrap my head around it," one neighbor reportedly said. "You think you know people. You think something like this could never happen so close to home." The emotional impact of the case has been profound, especially among parents. Social media reactions flooded in as news spread, with many expressing grief for the infants and outrage at the alleged actions. Others called for systemic changes, demanding better follow-up in cases involving unexplained child deaths. Prosecutors allege that what makes the case particularly disturbing is the calculated nature of the alleged acts. The time gap between the deaths, they argue, suggests premeditation rather than impulsive behavior. They also claim the accused used the assumption of tragedy and public sympathy as a shield, allowing her to avoid scrutiny for years. Defense attorneys, however, urge caution. They emphasize that allegations are not convictions and stress the importance of due process. The defense is expected to challenge the prosecution's timeline, forensic interpretations, and claims about the accused's emotional state. "This case will hinge on evidence, not emotion," one legal analyst noted. Jurors must be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, and that is a very high bar, especially when dealing with events that occurred years apart. Still, prosecutors appear confident. They argue that advances in forensic analysis and a deeper review of medical records have provided clarity that was unavailable during the initial investigations. They also point to statements allegedly made by the accused that they believe contradict earlier accounts. As the case moves through the legal system, the focus remains firmly on the 2 infant victims' lives that, authorities say, were stolen before they ever had a chance to begin. Child advocacy groups have rallied around the case, calling for increased awareness and improved investigative protocols to ensure warning signs are not missed in the future. This isn't just about one case, an advocate said. It's about learning how to protect children better and making sure no tragedy is overlooked. If convicted, the accused could face severe penalties under Georgia law. Prosecutors have not ruled out seeking the maximum sentence, citing the alleged lack of remorse and the repeated nature of the crimes as aggravating factors. For now, the courtroom becomes the battleground where truth, grief, and justice collide. Families mourn, the community waits, and the nation watches as a case that began with quiet sorrow transforms into one of the most haunting criminal proceedings in recent memory. The story serves as a grim reminder that not all dangers are visible, not all tragedies are accidents, and sometimes, the most chilling crimes unfold slowly, hidden behind years of silence. As the trial continues, one question looms over everything: could this second tragedy have been prevented? And perhaps even more troubling, how many warning signs must appear before action is taken? The answers may come too late for the victims in this case. But prosecutors hope that justice, however delayed, will finally speak for 2 infants who never had a voice. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe Talent Zone Updates YouTube channel for more update news. What was your favorite moment from the show? Let us know in the comments.